a very clear need to get content out to people, and what we've done is we've tried to help them replace humans, and not in a way that just doesn't have people working anymore, but to let them get involved with the tasks that are actually pertinent and the things that they want to do, and use technology to get, to make things more efficient and enable them to get on with what they should be doing, and all these menial tasks, replace those tasks with technology. So this is going to be a slightly different discussion to the sort of all of the production stuff you guys have been talking about so far, but I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. So very pleased to have Weston here, and look forward to hearing what he's got to say. Thank you.
All right, I'll get things started here. I'm Weston Carter. I'm with Auburn University. I oversee all of our media systems, our workflows, our editors, our servers, and our archival systems. So one of the things when I first started talking with Nick a little over a year ago was the challenge of delivering video content to local news and all the different media requests that we tend to get. I think everyone in here probably has had to serve a media request. Raise your hand if you've ever had a media request you've had to fulfill. Right? So, I mean, we've all been there. We get a ton throughout all of our sports seasons. So a lot of times when we're going through this, we don't even know how much has already been fulfilled. We have no way of tracking where it's being downloaded, who's downloading it, how much of it is being used. And so for us, that was really kind of important for us to be a little bit more efficient in that and kind of go in that direction. So for one of the things that we looked to do was change out from our old system and move to something that was a little bit more current. And for the conversations I had with Nick, this was a platform that they had a little over a year ago, and we've been working with them to kind of get it to the point that we were really, really happy to kind of take us to the next level. So our old system, it was over 8 years old. It was really slow for our upload process. We had a lot of errors. People would spend a long time after events trying to re-upload media and make this, trying to get that out there for the media affiliates to grab. So we would have press conferences after the game. We'd post highlights. And being in Auburn, Alabama, we actually don't have a local news outlet that is stationed in Auburn. We have some in Montgomery, we have in Columbus, Georgia, and we have up in Birmingham. So the closest is 45 minutes to an hour away. So we have to deliver a lot of content for affiliates to be able to use and get some airtime. So for us, this old system, we couldn't go back and easily search and browse and find a lot of the content that we have posted over the years. So for us, we literally had to go back page by page, one at a time or 10 pages at a time, and go back and try to find content, which was very, very time consuming and was almost never utilized. We didn't have analytics. We knew that there was a download count. We had no idea how often stuff was being used, where it was being used, so it kind of backed us into a corner. We didn't have mobile capabilities, and we didn't have any way to upload or download from mobile devices. We didn't have any permissions to restrict our users. So I started talking with Nick a little over a year ago, and then we started saying, well, what would this system look like? And a lot of the things we were looking to do, we were barely going to be scraping the surface of what Imagen was capable of doing. And we said, well, let's start small, let's build from there. So when we finally got the go-ahead to make this system, we had 2 days until fall football camp started. So they spun up the system, they had it ready to go for us by August 1st, and we put some restrictions on this system. We said we can't have downtime. If there's updates that need to be run, they need to be minimal. We needed to have a really flexible system so that we could run through and add users very quickly. When people need to get on the system, hey, here's the link, go sign up, jump on there, and I approve it, you're good to go. We needed it to be on a restricted budget because we didn't have this opportunity to investigate for years and years to get to this point and get this increase. So that was one of our restrictions as well. And for us, Imagen came up with a completely cloud-deployed system. We don't have any on-prem server. It's all based in Azure. And this is the interface that we've been able to kind of skin up so it looks like an Auburn Athletics site. So I sent a few bullet points to my internal staff and said, hey, jump on here, it's like YouTube, go for it. Everyone was able to use it probably within 5 minutes. Everyone said they loved it, looked great. I put a few more instructions together for all of our end users that would be looking to download content, and they were able to start accessing the content when we started uploading all that media availability during the fall. The one big thing for us was this was mobile device friendly. So what that allowed me to do is my sports communication staff, if they're out in the field and they're at a media availability at a golf tournament, we don't have a video person there, they can now shoot that content, they can upload that, and if they're able to get that back, we can download it back in our facility, a network can download it, a local news can download it, so that gave us a lot more flexibility, all from one mobile device. It was also secure. I could lock it down as much as I wanted or open it up and make it really easy for people to jump on there and sign up. We have 19 sports that we serve, and out of all of those, we have obviously our king up there is 192 videos with football. We have internal staff using the system. We have broadcasters, regional, local networks. Local news was a big push because we know local news seems to be getting cut a lot with their budgets. So we needed to get that content out there to grow our brand regionally and nationally, and other schools. We would like to not just do a one-off for any of our file delivery, so we want to be able to have that B-roll that we put together of our quarterback. If they're putting together a show, well, why can't someone else access that same B-roll? Then it's multi-purpose at that time. So this gave us a lot more flexibility than doing a one-off file delivery. We can say, well, you can go on there and search for Jarrett Stidham and see what turns up. If there's nothing there that fits your needs, then we can try to find something else. But we repurposed a lot more of that content. What we found was, this map's a little faded from this direction for me, but what we were able to find is we had a much bigger audience than we ever anticipated. So on here we can see that Alabama, we had 995 sessions within the state of Alabama. We actually found that we had users and downloads all up and down the East Coast, all throughout the Midwest, and up and down the West Coast. So for us, we had no idea that this was how our users were looking to download this content. We had no idea that it was going to be catered to other people other than just local news. So we found that we had people from radio stations being able to clip out and preview. There's a 30-minute press conference. They can pull together, hey, I just need this 1-minute soundbite, pull it down, put it in a radio show. Podcasts could go on there. They could pull what they needed. Newspapers could go on there, or if they just needed a quote, they didn't want to go back, they could go actually and listen to it. They could preview that now, which we didn't have that capability before, and blogs as well. We all know those are important parts to delivering your content. So there was a huge audience that I don't think ever knew this existed, and when we rolled it out, we started to capitalize on that a lot more. The exposure for our sports, it grew. We have over 30 states that we've actually had content downloaded from. We're able to follow those analytics. Alabama was number 1. Georgia was number 2 in terms of users and downloads. And within the first 45 days, we had 145 hours of media downloaded. Now, those first 45 days, I can guarantee we didn't have 145 hours up there. But I can say we probably had maybe around 30 to 45 minutes of content, and that had been downloaded multiple times over. So we were able to see how much of that is actually our egress out to different media affiliates. We had the capability now to be able to see that it's getting distributed. We had instant analytics. I could see how many users were were on the system and in real time. I could see how many people had downloaded throughout the day. I could see how many users were using Google Chrome versus using Firefox or Internet Explorer on a Mac or a PC. I could see how many people were using mobile devices, if they were on an old iPhone or a new iPhone. I could see every single piece of info there that I had no idea before we had the system. So one of the things for us was, just like in the world of the internet, we're able to see kind of what some of the hot search terms are. This was taken recently during the spring. So we can see some of those, they're looking for softball. They're looking for Casey Mize, is going to be probably the #1 draft pick this year for baseball. They're looking for press conferences. They're looking for a head coach, Mickey Dean. They're looking for stuff from 2018. And those over on the far left, you've got all the different graphs and how those peaks and valleys of our downloaded media. Well, we were able to track and see, well, if there's a quarterback controversy, we anticipate there being a pretty big spike from users and downloads. But we didn't know when that's happening. Is it happening the day we post it? Is it happening the next day? And that gave us a better idea. Before we thought, well, if it's a late press conference after a game, maybe we don't need to post this until the next day. Well, now we know we have users on the West Coast that are looking to capitalize on that, and they may actually use it that night. So there's a different approach when we're looking at this and how far our media is getting a reach. And right now we have 413 hours of media that's been downloaded to date. We can also see here a lot of analytics. We can see all of our users throughout the past. On the far left in that graph, we can see the peaks and the valleys and just see how many different users and what type of audience we're getting from a day-to-day basis, month to month, year to year. And we never had this data to compare to before. So what we're really excited about is we know there's a big audience for football. We're having a bigger audience for our basketball teams now, with other sports as well. So now I have some data this year that I can compare for years to come and see how that stacks up from one year to the next. And we can also see easily how much media was downloaded last year for football compared to this year, how much between baseball, softball, and so forth. So one of the things we're looking to do with Imagen, like I said, we barely kind of scraped the surface with them when we did this first install and with the system. We're looking to make this so that there's stock footage available for purchase. That's been built into the system, but we want to make that so maybe we have some high quality B-roll available so that if someone wants to go on there, we spend a little bit more time on this, but someone can go on there and download that if they wanted to use that. We're looking to try to tap into more of the live ingest capabilities where we can take that and clip things off and post those directly to our social media accounts all through the web interface and capitalize on that. We're wanting to do a little bit more with their media logging tools that they have on there and really trying to get that data ingested from our dream catchers and those XML files that are outputted, have those come in, and all that metadata is already in there available and tagged before us having to ever have intervention when we upload. We're also looking to get a little bit deeper into our analytics. I was pretty new to a lot of the tools that were available to me, so this year I'm going to try to dig a little bit deeper and kind of see how that we can compare one year to the next and get a little bit more granular and be smarter with what we're putting out there. We're also hoping that if there's multiple Imagen systems, if there's other schools that ever have a system, that we can have those systems talk to one another. So if another school, say, in another conference has a press conference that is posted to their Imagen system, then if I do a search within mine or my media is downloading, looking for that, then they will see that press conference and it all connects together. That I know is in the roadmap coming up shortly. So for us, I think that's one of the really important things that we're trying to just work a lot smarter with our media delivery. We don't want to use a Dropbox where we send one file to one person and then have to do that 5 more times. We probably have a dozen football requests every week. So if some of those are doubled up, they may be able to fulfill their own media request. And that's what we've been able to find is a lot more people have a lot more time now that we've gone to a system where we take a lot of that burden off of our staff and we're able to put that onto the users, and they now are able to go back and say, hey, you know what? I wonder what Gus Malzahn said after the Alabama game last year. Well, I don't need to send that to them. They can go back there and search for this years to come. This is all self-contained, so it's not accessible just if you Google anything or go onto YouTube. You have to get onto this system. So it's not accessible to the outside world, but it gives us a lot more flexibility without just having to go back and pull things from archive from years past. So that's kind of our experience and what we've seen to be able to be a lot more efficient with our media and delivering to a lot of different outlets. If you want to go on and take a look, The website is auburn.imagencloud.com. You can jump on there, take a look, sign up for an account, poke around a little bit if you want to download a press conference or two. It'll boost some of our analytics, but you're more than welcome to take a look on there if you'd like to poke around a little bit. All right?